Welcome everyone to the Stepping Up with One Step session. I am Michael Estep, a consultant here at Excalibur Data Systems.
And I'm Mike Fuson, one of the architects at Excalibur.
So hey Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit before we move on about Excalibur?
So Excalibur is very excited, of course, to be one of the proud platinum sponsors of Clear 2020. Excalibur is a leading edge consulting firm. We're one of the handful of Cherwell partners worldwide, and we're one of the oldest partners that Cherwell has. We love working with our customers and using best of breed solutions and enterprise service management technologies to create really exciting solutions for our customers. One of the things you'll see, stop over at our booth and visit. We've got some really great partners that are all technology alliance partners, and it's one of the things that helps make Cherwell hum so excitingly. So Mike, on with our presentation.
Well, I came across this quote that said, "A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step." And I got to looking at it, I really like this quote. But I wanted to change it up a little bit to be more of a Cherwell quote, if you will. It's a journey of 1,000 one steps must begin with a single one step. Throughout your career with Cherwell, you may do 1,000 one steps, you may not, but you may touch, change, do all kinds of things with one steps, and it always starts with a single one step. So today we're going to be discussing some of those one steps.
Very cool. This is very exciting stuff, Mike. So one of our first topics is, where on earth in Cherwell can we run OneSteps?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Mike. We can run OneSteps in a button and a link label. Probably one of the most common places within Cherwell. As you can see here, I have examples from all over the place. It could be in a form, it could be in an action, it could be within a widget itself, but the button and link label can be run from anywhere, dashboards, etc. So Mike, where else can we run a one step?
One of the myriad of other places is business object automatic actions. So automatic actions within business objects include create actions, save actions, and state change actions. Out of the box, what you'll see is a number of usually save actions. For example, on the as we're showing here in this example, on the take ownership or on an escalation. This is in some cases used as an alternative to using an automation process where an automation process may not fit quite right, or you have a very specific requirement that this data change or be stored or whatever needs to happen in this one step happens immediately. Like it can't even take that little breather for the automation process to run. And it's very, very cool, very, very exciting ways to have it happen, because it could be on creates. It could also be when a status changes. So this is one of the many things that Cherwell gives us where a one step can be run. I can think of a couple more places, Mike. What might be another place that one steps can be run?
Another place we can run, you've also mentioned, it's an automated process. So the automated process engine runs, about once every minute and once every 3 minutes, and it picks up things based upon actions. So it might be a time that it's waiting for, maybe a start time or an end time to come due, or it could just be a simple event, like the incident creation on email. So once it gets created, an incident, it's going to send out this incident confirmation. And we can run these one steps because there are things like the email that's templated, and we don't have to have anything to pop up and ask us for stuff to get additional information. Hey, Mike, where's another place we can run one?
Well, one of the other places is in the email monitor. So within the email monitor, not only can we do kind of what in here is somewhat of an automatic action, like this create new incident, but we could also run a one step in here, and as in this example, just to update a flag. It can take actions post the initial action that's being taken. So one of the other many places we can have these one steps happening. What's one of the other places, Mike, that we could run a one step?
I'm glad you asked. It's the context menu. So most folks like to use this within a grid, as we show here within our example. Being able to right-click on an incident and resolve that incident, or maybe I want to put a track task time really without opening my incident, then I can right-click on it after I have set it up, as we show in the top here, in our incident context menu actions. Then it will show in the nice little menu on the side of it. And I think we've got one more that we're going to talk about where we can run. Mike, what is that one?
That one, Mr. Estep, would be the toolbar and task pane. So as many of us know, out of the box, within the rich client, as an example, you'll see over on the left-hand side in our quick search bar, we'll see a whole bunch of different one steps that are in there that might be quick calls that can be done. It could be any number of things that sit over there. And so that is one of the places in that task pane that additional one steps can sit, in addition to custom toolbars that we may have created to run those one steps in. Are there any other places that you can think of, Mike, where you can run one steps?
Well, there are several other places I think that we can run one steps, and I'm sure there's other admins out there that are looking at our presentation going, you know what, I know the other places that you can run one. But we're just going to move on for the moment, and we're going to say there are more places to run one steps in Cherwell. So this next quote that I came across was, every journey begins with a single step. Again, just the same as that one that we looked at in the very beginning. You must start somewhere. So when you're starting somewhere, there's some considerations to take. What's the first consideration, Mike?
Well, one of the first things you need to consider is the what. What does the one step need to do? What are we trying to accomplish by having this one step run? We don't need to know every bit and byte and trigger and flag and everything else that's going to be set in what order, but we need to have a fundamental understanding of what are we expecting this one step to do. We do want it to tell us that XYZ has happened with this particular object. Say, take an incident, for example. So we want to know the what. What is the outcome that the one step's going to give us? That outcome could be as simple as it's going to send an email. So we want to know, what do we need it to do? What's the second one of the other considerations, Mike, that we have when we're building our one steps and thinking about them?
So one of the other one-step considerations we need to think about is, when does the one step need to run? So just like Mike talked about an email, we saw the resolution confirmation email real quick, and it's run through an automated process. Well, why is it that we can run it through an automated process? It's because it's just a template. There's nothing we didn't do to that email before it goes out. So when we think about when does a one step need to run, we could do it as an automated process if we don't have to touch it. Or maybe like the update email that we click on our form, we want it to pop up and have the technician actually fill some information in before they send that email. Well, we wouldn't want to do that in an automation process because that's going to happen after I close my incident. We'd want to do that right in line when we click that one step. So several different considerations that you need to be looking at as far as, what does the one step need to do? When does the run step need to run? Or when can I run it? Because of course you can run the resolved email within the inline one step, but it takes a little bit of processing power to do that. And why have my technician yet wait for that email to run when I can just have it run with an automated process? We're going to see a couple of things, or a couple of them today from an automated process standpoint to show why I wouldn't need to run that inline. And our last consideration that we're going to talk about today, Mike.
What information is needed for the one step to be successful? And I know you're going to cover this in living color during your demo, but as an example, we need to know, is there particular details that might be necessary? For example, a required field that needed to be filled in before they run the one step. And we need to have just a fundamental understanding. This is not going to run correctly if we don't have this information, or this shouldn't be allowed to be run if this circumstance isn't true. Whatever our requirements are. So it kind of goes back to the what does the one step need to do, and then we've got the when does it need to run. And this is one of those where is there information that's needed? We may have certain situations where we're double checking. I know we're going to see some of those considerations, Mike, in your demo of what are some of the things you can check for and kind of help people out so that it's not trying to run something when it's not fully ready to run it. But I can think of a couple of examples where we might have, say, a link label on a form where we might click on that link label, and that link label may need to be available because we just don't have enough criteria to say, well, we need to hide this, something that needs to be available. But when they click on it, if they don't meet certain criteria, we pop up a warning saying, hey, this change has to be a standard change in order to click on this. These are the many and varied examples where we, as administrators of the system, need to know the who, what, where, when, and why, and be able to design our one steps to run the way we need. But I know after all of this excitement and buildup, we're going to move into demo time. So
Absolutely.
Mike, take it away.
Demo time. Woohoo!
Woo!
We're going to blast off and take a look at some one steps that you can actually see in your environment, and some ones that we have put in place. So an out-of-the-box example, along with one that we put in place and why we've run it where we've run them. So this particular one is in the automated process. Being able to get to those, of course, you all know that we need to create a new automated process. I'm going to sort by the business object here. And I like to look at this announcement one for an example, because the announcement one is using a time-based wait for time method. And this is just what we were talking about, is I might set a start date for November the 11th, for instance. That's in a couple of days. I don't want this to become active yet. I don't want to have to put something on my calendar or remember to come back in here and make this announcement active. So I'm going to put a wait for time event whenever the start date changes, and look at for the when do I want this event to actually occur, and it would be on that start date, which would then update my business object and set it to active. The same as if we're wanting to expire that particular announcement. I, again, don't want to have to set a calendar reminder to come in here and expire it a month later. It might be 6 months later. You just never know. But this way you can set it by an end date. Any change to the field will then click my time, and my time limit's going to look for 1 day after the end date to turn this to an expired announcement. So that's an example of an automated process. One of the ones that we put together as well, we've done an assignment history that is continuously asked for, and that's one that you can track ownership, whether it's the owned by or the owned by team, and be able to do reports against it. So we have an update assignment history that we're running on the save actions. And we run it on the save actions so that anytime the owned by or the owned by team, or even the status changes, we'll make an entry into a business object called assignment history. And it's going to look, and it's going to run every time you save. However, to keep it from doing things you don't want it to at any given time, we put in this little action condition up here. So it's looking at if the assigned to is not equal to our temp previous owned by, and notice it's changed it here. It's kind of a cool thing. 10.1 changed it to assigned to. As if it's not equal to our last owner, then make an entry. Same with our owned by team, and same with our status. That way, every single save, it's going to look and see, did we change the owner, change the owned by team, or change the status? Something that I may or may not want to do on an automated process, because this actually captured if somebody changed it to a team and then changed it again, why that I have gotten the email that says, hey, my team now owns this incident. And the last one we're going to look at is really an escape clause that I like to put into a form that I'm using. So this particular form here, I'm going to do a new one so we can see it. Put some information in here. Actually, it changed my thing. So we're going to look at the form here. So this form has a daily and a weekly recurrence pattern. Within that weekly recurrence pattern, I need to choose a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Daily, it doesn't matter because it automatically has one chosen. Monthly automatically has one chosen as well. And I want to be able to say, okay, if you don't have any information in there, then don't go to the next step, which is to make recurring meetings. So clicking on my weekly here, I can see that I can then change and update my Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday after dates. And if I try to do recurring meetings, I get a pop-up that says, hey, a weekly option must be chosen before you can proceed. Please choose the week they occur on. So let's take a closer look at how that one step is actually occurring in the background. So this one step is really huge. And when I say huge, we're going to kind of scroll across here and we're going to look at all the different things that the particular one step is running. So instead of having it go through and run through everything and look and put action conditions on all of these different particular one step fields, I'm going to use the multiple case. So I can do a fail check that says, hey, check and see if I need if I have everything within my weekly occurrence pattern. And if I don't, then pop up a message that says a weekly option must be chosen. Please choose the day of the week to occur on, and then exit right after that. That way I don't have to wait for this thing to think about what I was going to do. It's just going to automatically go ahead and exit for me. And those are the one-step examples that I had for our demo today that kind of connected all of the things that we've been talking about. The when, the where, the how, the why I might be able to do some of these. What we always see is there's 5 different ways of doing everything in Cherwell. Sometimes it's not always the best way to do it the way that you can do it. So we tried to cover some best practices today and give you some examples that you can use. So Mike, do you have any closing words for us?
Nope, but just remember, a single one step begins with one step.
Journey of 1,000 steps begins with one step. And your journey is about to begin if you're a new admin. For those of you that have been out there, me and Mike understand.
It's exciting, have fun, and Cherwell on.
Well, thank you for attending this session. And please fill out a survey. And I believe it will be on the app this year. If not, there will be a way to be able to fill out the survey coming out.